Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to finally start building the roll cage in the 370Z. Let me go ahead and introduce you to the car. It's right behind me here. This is a 2009 370Z, and we're going to be making this into my new competition car for 2021. So the plan is that we're going to be putting an RB20 into it. This is the same RB20 that I had in my S13. It's a full build, 420 horsepower, running on the 85. All the bells and whistles, blah blah blah. We also have a dog box for it. So recently I went ahead and stripped the entire car down, removed all the glass, drilled out a couple spot welds here and there, got everything buttoned up, ready to put the cage in. So we're going to start on the cage today. Alrighty, so before we get going here, we're going to need a couple of tools to actually take the measurements for this main hoop. Now we're just going to start with the main hoop, and I'm going to tell you guys how I measure them. I don't use bend tech. I do it the old-fashioned way with some math and trigonometry. So if you didn't pay attention in high school during geometry, because frankly it's pretty boring, well, we're back at it again, so I'm sorry. So the things we're going to need here is we're going to need a clipboard. Now this is my clipboard. I took these templates off of Google Images. Really, you can draw them yourself if you want, or just take a screenshot off this video. All this is just where I write down the measurements, and it's just a nice visual cue of what things are, just so you can keep everything straight in your head. You're going to need a digital angle finder. You can pick these up at Harbor Freight, or local hardware store will have them as well. I like the digital angle finder because it allows you to zero out the angle just in case your vehicle is not sitting on a level surface. Next thing we're going to need is some masking tape. We're going to use this to mark out the starts of our bend on the actual chassis itself. This is just so that it's nice and clean. I'm not drawing on my actual chassis. And when I have customer cars that come in, I do it this way just because they don't need to have a bunch of measurements all over the inside of their car. We like to keep things clean and as professional as we can. Next up, tape measure. Gonna need that. Pretty self-explanatory. I hope everyone knows what a tape measure is. Next up, calculator. You can absolutely use your phone's calculator. For some of the things that I do when I'm trying to figure out lengths of unknowns, it helps that I have my graphing calculator from high school. It's just something that I'm used to, and it goes quicker for me. Oh, and also, don't forget a marker. We're going to be building a cheater bar, so we use this to measure the starts of our bends. What you're going to want to do is grab about a 2-foot length of your material that you're working with. This is our DOM 11 gauge or 1/8 inch wall, however you prefer to measure it. And you're going to want to go ahead and line it up in your bender. Slide it all the way through, and I like to just put it right at the face of the clamp right there. Okie dokie, so we got this all clamped in, nice and flush with the tie down for the bar, for the clamp for the bar, sorry. Now what you're going to want to do is put a little bit of tension on the actual bender itself. Got some tension set on it, and then let it spring back until there's no tension, and then we will set the dial indicator to 0. This makes sure that we take into account our spring back when we're actually bending these angles by hand. Final step to making our cheater bar before we start bending is you want to go ahead and mark, let me see if I can get in there. Go ahead and mark the face of the die where it meets up to the actual tubing itself. That's going to be important because that's going to be our 0 mark when we go to actually take measurements. Okay, so the final part to bending our cheater bar is we're going to go ahead and bend it to 60 degrees. You can actually bend this to whatever angle you would like. I used to have a 90 degree. I found it pretty useful, but I'd like to have more, so we're going to go ahead and make a 60 degree one, and we'll use that one on this video today. And there we go, one cheater bar bent. The next thing we're going to do is just going to cut a little notch in the piping itself, exactly where that mark is. That way we have a little lip to hook our tape measure into. And there we go, cut the little slit in the top right where the 0 datum point is. That way we can hook in the tape measure. I'll show you guys how that works real quick. Pretty self-explanatory. You're going to butt this up to the body of the car you're working on. And then if you have a helper, then go ahead and line it up, hook it in, and then you can measure exactly what you need, all while keeping the bend right where it's going to start.